And again, that was something from that I remember Mark Silvestri saying, was that there were just times where when he was reading, well, the comic that we produced, and it just gave him the chills. And I think that's quite a that's quite a compliment.
Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 491. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have back with us the internationally recognized and award-winning writer of comics, novels, and game books, Simon Birks of Blue Fox Comics. Simon,
how'd you do? Thank you very much. That was far more than I deserved, but thank you.
This is exciting. You're back. You're on. Yeah. We kind of did the math a couple of years ago. You were on talking about your comic Antarctica, and you sent me a note back in what was it, October, saying, "Can you come on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well," and so we noticed that the earliest time I had opening was January. So for all of our listeners, so all of our listeners and viewers out there, and we have a lot of you that actually write and produce and are actually also authors and artists. When it's time to get out there and start, talking about your book, and Simon does this very well. He's a perfect example. Reach out a few months in advance because it takes a while to prepare for that, and so Simon did the right thing. So yeah,
and however many months you think it is, add a couple more on. So I reached out to you in October and said I think it should have been August. So, but there you go. It's just one of those things. So it's lovely. It's lovely that podcasts are so popular, and have this momentum. So it's very impressive, and I wish I had your energy to do it.
But you have some, lots of energy too, because even though you were on a year and a half ago, you've put out a lot more books since then too.
Yeah, well, I run Blue Fox Comics with my wife in the UK, and we do. So we use Kickstarter a lot, as many creatives do. And the truth is, last year we did 15 Kickstarters or 15 crowdfunding. A couple of them were backer kit ones. So we do a lot. And this year we got a full slate of books again lined up for crowdfunding. Again, it's probably going to be about 15 books again. This is our website. So yeah, it's our fancy stuff that I spent a week last year. I thought, okay, I really want to put something swish together. I was using Shopify and I wanted to move away from Shopify for reasons. And our original store was in WordPress and WooCommerce. And I thought let's do that again. And everything, I used to work in IT, but everything in IT moves so quickly. So now there's all sorts of new things in WordPress and something called Elementor and all sorts of things. And so I had to learn is too much a word for it. I had to, quickly have a look and see what I could, if I could work it all out. And, and I put this together and very happy. And I think, everyone who looks at it says it's pretty good.
Okay. So for our listeners out there, go to bluefoxbookstore.com, and it is a gorgeous website. I gotta say, Simon, it reminds me of and even looking at some of the titles and in the inventory you have on a lot of the books you have on here, and like you said, not all of these are yours, but some of these you are actually you're the agent for, correct? Or is that
so? What we have here, I think at the moment, all the comics on there currently are Blue Fox Comics. You probably can buy Antarctica Volume 1 and Volume 2. Obviously, it's Top Cow and Image. But we also are bringing on select publishers. We've got one, Critical Kit, which again is a publisher that I see a lot at the gaming conventions. They do TTRPGs, so we've got 5 or 6 of their TTRPGs on our book on our store. But we also have our game books on there, and we also have games because we're starting to do games as well. Um,
Nice.
because we're all nerds, aren't we? I mean, there's a large crossover. We've done a lot of gaming conventions. We started doing gaming conventions for the game books, and obviously we took along comics as well. And we'd have a lot of our comic backers come up to us at the gaming conventions, which is lovely because we obviously have the nicest backers, and say hi, and I backed all these things, and you send me emails a lot and all that sort of things. They say it nicely, which is quite good. But yeah, so it's we're lucky,
Right.
and so we've been going for this is our 11th year now, and
Wow.
yeah, and well, who'd have thought? But yeah, it's
Right.
doing all right.
And you can click on that too. If you go to bluefoxcomics.com, there's a
Mm,
link to the shop button that takes you to then
yeah,
bluefoxbookstore.com. And as I was
that's
saying, for our listeners out there, the websites are beautifully done, and it really reminds me a lot of just looking at the titles that you have.
yeah.
It is very much reminiscent of the Vertigo
Mm,
comic book line in a way as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. We definitely lean into genre comics, horror. Got some folk horror there, some dark fantasy, sci-fi. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. We do have some books for younger people, children as well. But but they've all got an edge on them, I think. I mean,
Right.
one of the main things really for Blue Fox books is if Mario and I will, if we like them, then that's a big a big way forward towards us
Right.
publishing them. So, but it could be for any age group, any genre.
Mm.
We've got books about dementia, as kind of slice of life sort of books about dementia as well. Uh, but they're just beautiful and moving, and yeah, it's good.
Now, so folks that might be seeing probably the title card of this episode is going to be talking about something about Lovecraft.
Yes.
And somebody that's been sitting in here saying, "What are you going to talk about Lovecraft right now?" So yes, here we are. Here's my question for you
Okay.
about that. So
Mm,
folks that know you from Antarctica or Sinners and your other Blue Fox books,
yeah.
how do you introduce the thing on the doorstep to new readers?
Okay. So we were lucky back when it's going to be a long story, but back when beginning of the old pandemic thing, we had a book sent to us, which was The Mountains of Madness, and that's what we were crowdfunding for in March 2020, and that did amazingly well. I hadn't really read Lovecraft before then, so I thought, yes, I knew it did well on Kickstarter. There's lots of fans out there of the Cthulhu mythos. So I thought, okay, well, let's have a look at some stories and read some stories. And the thing on the doorstep really jumped out at me. It's got a great first line. Don't ask me to quote it. I don't have it here on me. But it talks about him shooting his mate in the face 6 times, but he didn't murder him. And it's just it sort of captures I don't know, a feeling, and you just naturally want to know more. So yeah, so really from that I went. I can remember going and sitting down and yeah, really and just working out, reading through the story. I mean, it's not the longest story by any means. So really trying to tease out that story and tease out the what was going to happen, and obviously set it up and work out the issues and what happens. And yeah, so it was it's a good story. It's a good story,
Mm.
and I've just tried to make it easier to understand, easier to read, brought more well, really. I think it's okay to say that Lovecraft doesn't have a lot of female characters in his stories. So really, I was just trying to, and in the thing on the doorstep, Daniel Upton, one of the main two characters, yeah, he is married. He does have a child. So it's really bringing those characters to the fore as well and giving them agency and I don't know, putting a lot of emotion into that story. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry.
and so how did this project then with with Top Cow first kind of land on your radar? Did you pitch the Lovecraft thing, or did they come to you?
How it happened was Antarctica was being was being published at the time. I can remember it's going to be December 2023. I can remember the convention I was at when I was talking to Elena, who's the editor, and she said she'd seen that we'd put the thing on the doorstep, that it was on Kickstarter, and she wanted to have a read of it. And so yeah, I sent her what we had,
Okay.
and she put that in front of Matt and Mark Silvestri, and and they really liked it. We spoke about it. I went to San Diego 2023 and 2024. We spoke about it in 2024, and and they were very keen to do it. So, as always, these things take slightly longer behind the scenes to get there,
Yeah.
but now we are. And the lovely thing is, even though some people might have seen the Blue Fox version that we did, we've got brand new covers for this. Willi's kind of looked at the art and he wanted to obviously in the years, as we all do as creators, we see things when we look back at past work, we think like, okay, that's not my current standard, and so he's brushed up on the art all the way through, and so we got Lyndon White, who lettered Antarctica, but also did some variant covers for Antarctica. Did this variant cover for issue 1? You see on the screen at the moment. It's just fantastic. He does a lot of covers for us. People just, people like them. Really, when we're standing there at a, when we're at a convention, a lot of the covers that people come over for are Lyndon. So yeah.
Right. Now, so then when you sat down to adapt it, what were some of the untouchable core elements that you knew you just had to keep?
Yeah, the beginning. I mean, you may not have seen it, but literally the beginning. It begins exactly the way that is. Daniel comes in, shoots Edward, his best mate, in the face. It's simple as that. That's how it starts. Because it's, I mean, it is what a cold open, I guess you'd say. But yeah, it just does that, and then we rewind back, and we go through their childhood.
Mm.
And you see how they became friends, their first meeting, and the things which are again touched on in the story. I think each of the scenes that I've put in there, there's like maybe a line of prose in the actual thing on the door, Lovecraft
Right.
story, and but obviously I've made them more, shown them, as opposed to telling them, how it is. So yeah, and sometimes I look back on, I look back on it, I read it, I think, yeah, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I think I really enjoy what I did with this, and I'm really. Sometimes you look back in your work and think, I can't believe I actually wrote this. It's really damn good. So, yeah, it's just. But yeah, so there you go. So this is, there you go. Yeah, there is
Right.
the pick. So, but it's just it's just good, and it's a great mystery to start with,
Right.
uh, and then you go through, and yeah, I mean, it will. I say it will make you cry, and that's
Right.
what that was the intention. I want people to cry at my stuff. So yeah, it's there's some. Yeah, it really builds and builds, and then, gosh, yeah.
Right. Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. Now, so the converse question for that then, did you feel you had to change anything you had to change from the original book to kind of fit for a modern comic audience?
From the actual story itself, I don't think really there's much I've changed at all. Obviously, as you can see, there's diversity in the story.
Right.
That may not have been Lovecraft's thing, but for a modern audience, this is right. So yeah, so we have that, and it's just. But apart from that, but again, I would suggest that in a story, it never says. It just gives you names. So yeah, I think I've stayed pretty good to the story itself, but obviously added. So Daniel's wife Clara, who's in it a lot, and also Daniel's son Edward Jr. You see a lot more of them, and they just they get involved. They show love. When
Right.
Edward Darby goes through some things, shall we say, and he has the love of Daniel and his family to try and help him and try and support him. And I think in that sense, maybe you don't see a lot of that. A lot of this sort of male friendship, you know, in comics, and it's not people beating the heck out of each other all the time. It's kind of seeing one person go through something awful and just trying to help them and trying to be there for them and try and do the best for them. I think it's
Right.
it's really interesting.
So this is a how many issues is in this?
5 issues.
5 issues.
All about 20 pages long. They're not dead on, but yes, but we're bringing it out. First one is in comic shops on February the 11th, and obviously monthly. And I think the trade is going to be out beginning of August. So yeah,
Okay.
it's quite a quick thing.
So how do you approach, like, say, turning a prose horror story into a visually monthly serial without
Mm.
losing that creeping dread feel?
Well, you employ a really good artist called Willi Roberts, and he does a lot of the hard, heavy lifting on the terror. And again, that
Mm,
was something from that I remember Mark Silvestri saying, was that there were just times where when he was reading, well, the comic that we produced, and it just gave him the chills. And I think that's quite that's quite a compliment.
right.
So yeah, he does. He really leans into it. And some of the, I mean, even some of the covers, they released the image for cover 3 today on Instagram that Willie did as well, and that's just so creepy. So yeah, leaned into the horror, leaned into the uneasy feeling. Um, yeah, as you go through, there were certain pages that just take you by surprise, and yeah, it's very obviously it's a comic, so it's obviously very visual, but yeah, you really do get a feeling of it's very cinematic. I think, like, in a way, Antarctica. Some people came up to me and said they found it quite a cinematic sort of book, and I think this one is as well. I think this one you read it and you think, yeah, that would look really good on the screen. Not that I'm pitching that, but I'm not going to say no.
What was the hardest part about writing this? Because in as prose, it's a completely different
Mm,
genre. It's a completely well, not a genre. It's a completely different medium.
yeah.
So how did you kind of pivot Lovecraft words into a comic book style and making sure that
Mm,
folks' imagination is usually more frightening than what's actually going to be drawn out there? So how did you get that script together for Will Roberts to succeed in
mm,
those visuals?
mm. There's quite a key scene, I think, in the story and in the book, in the prose and in the comic, that where Daniel was giving a lift to Edward, who's turned up in the back end of nowhere, and he goes to retrieve him, and there's a big long speech that Edward gives about what's been happening, or and the good thing is I was able to lift that straight from the story. So there is direct speech. There, he does obviously Lovecraft does include the direct speech, so I can grab that, and that's the most sort of Cthulhu mythos sounding stuff, and that comes straight from the story.
Right.
Um, but pretty much everything else is not is prose work. So um, I, again, there is definitely a sprinkle of magic involved, but my process has all the things. Get a electronic notepad, put down numbers 1 to I don't know what I did in this one, but 1 to 20, 1 to 22, and just start plotting it from there. Thinking, okay, well, how's the first issue going to end? In this story, I've got so
Right.
what actually adapting from a story. I found easier than coming up with like Antarctica, because Antarctica is all me, so I'm having to dream up new films. Here, I'm actually creating a story from something which exists, has a structure. Um, doesn't have exactly the same end, but but adds to the end. I think is the truth. It doesn't change the end; it adds to the end.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so really, it's quite nice. So I looked at that and thought, okay, what are pivotal moments here? What are the scenes? So what are the one-liners which are actual? Oh, yeah, we need to see that. And then there's I think a rule of thumb that I've picked up from somewhere. Somebody's told me in comics where scenes shouldn't really be more than 4 pages long. So I've always got that in the back of my head. If something's going on more than 4 pages, it's probably too long. And the other great thing is that obviously I've written a lot of comics now, so I have managed to learn some stuff, which is great and quite surprising for me. So we've done that, and yeah, so just really creating these scenes, creating the tension, keeping the mystery in, yeah, and just slowly but surely doing that, and planning out the 5 issues, and then tightening them up. I'm certainly the sort of person, and Willi's very good at it too. Willi's quite quick when we work together. He'll send stuff back, and generally, yeah, I'm able to say, actually, if 93% of the time is absolutely perfect, but there's a few bits where I say, actually, no, where I'm not clear, so I have to say to him, oh no, that wasn't clear enough. This is what I actually meant, and he's very quick, and he'll change stuff. So we have a very good working dynamic, because not only obviously we worked on Thing on the Doorstep, but he was the artist on Antarctica. But we've also worked on several Blue Fox books as well. So
Right.
yeah, so we work together a lot, which is really lovely. So we kind of know what you're thinking, and and he just say dials it up to 12 or 13. Where at points where maybe I'll hang back, he thinks no, just going to do this, and so and it's lovely and it's great. And as again, I'm sure most comic writers will tell you, receiving pages in your inbox is the most exciting thing that can happen.
Was there anything in there where like when we got something from Will and you're like, wow, that is not what I imagined. It's even better.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
lots of pages, lots of pages. You think, oh my word, and and even now, say I think for these 5 issues for the covers, he's just frightens me looking at some of them. But it's lots
Now,
of fun.
so for those that are sort of familiar with Lovecraft but not quite sure, what are some of the Lovecraftian ingredients that you knew for the fans and the readers you had to leave in the story?
Um, there's talk of Innsmouth, which is a place in the Cthulhu H.P. Lovecraft mythos, and that's in the story again. The great thing is, because I've not really taken anything out of the story, that stuff is in there anyway. So there's mention of Innsmouth, which is uh, where Edward's wife's family is from,
Mm.
and all that means. Obviously, with Lovecraft. Not so much in this one. They are mentioned, but things like the elder gods, the cosmic horror, big strange beings somewhere in the world or under the ocean,
Mm.
all the places that we hadn't looked at in the 1920s and 30s. Um, that's where they live. Insanity, that's normal for Lovecraft. People generally go mad, I think. Um, but actually less so in the Thing on the Doorstep. And I think that is one of the things that sets it apart. I think there is distress in the Thing on the Doorstep, but it's when you read the story, you understand where the distress is coming from. It's not just someone is losing their marbles because they've looked at some weird animal god thing, and indescribable is generally the word for them. But and that's the other thing, the good thing about Thing on the Doorstep is there aren't really indescribable things, or in fact we don't. If there were, we don't show them. Where some of them, if they're because they're not crucial to the story, where some other Lovecraft stories, those indescribable things are crucial, like Dagon, for example.
Right.
All of a sudden having to actually put on the page, I'm going to say a scantily described, but doesn't sound right. But you know what I mean. A not very well described, god-like creature. Then yeah, it's quite difficult. So,
Right.
but no. Apart from that, no, we were lucky. I think this is the good thing with this story is that we've included everything on the page. It is all there, but it's expanded on. People are real people. It's a bit more, it's using language, it's using not language. It's which you're gonna have to work out what are they saying here, sort of thing. Where it can be a little bit. Sometimes when you read Lovecraft stories, he has the language that he uses is quite. You just have to sit down and work it out sometimes, and I think that's
for those that are new to your work, Simon. Would the Thing on the Doorstep be a good intro point, or is there another Simon Birk book that you would recommend?
Well, I'm going to obviously all of them, but yes, I mean, The Thing on the Doorstep is good. I'm very proud. It's the best adaptation I've done so far, so I'm very happy about that. Yes, there are also other books out there. I mean, recently I only went and won a prize for. I mean, it's a prize for one of my books. The comic's called One More Year. It's a sort of 52-page comic, and it won the Saltire Best Short Comic of the Year award, which is very happy. So that was like in December. So yes, I mean that's really good. But I write a lot. Blue Fox not only publishes my work, but we do publish other creators now. But it's still nice to see that kind of about at least half the work that we produce is from either myself or Marielle. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, there are lots of things on the thing on the website, and you can even filter on my name if you're really keen. If you go to the shop and then you go author and then Simon Birks, you'll see everything on there. But yeah, things like I mean, honestly, all of it's got merit. There's something called Robin, which is a Robin Hood, where she's a young girl in Sherwood Forest, and it's got steam-driven knights and Arthurian characters, and it's kind of a bit of a mashup. So that's lots of fun for 9-10-year-olds. And then we've got Clodagh, which is the dark fantasy that we saw when we were scrolling through the thing. We've just collected that into a trade. The first arc of that. Again, that's Willi Roberts did the art for that. So yeah, there's lots of stuff on there.
Yeah. And so if people want to learn more about you and your work, the best place they could go to is Blue Fox Comics.
Yeah, bluefoxcomics.com. The our socials are at Blue Fox Comics. That's on Instagram, and on Blue Sky, it's bluefoxcomics.com. And then for me, it's S. Birks Writer, because why make it easy for people? And you'll find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, I think I'm simonbirks.com on there. And I think simonbirks.com redirects you through to my link tree. It's just one weird web of links nowadays, isn't it?
It is.
But if you type my name into Google, I'll pop up smiling as much as I can smile. So
perfect. Well, listen, don't be a stranger, Simon, and next time come back on. And once again, thank you for your flexibility. I forgot you're in England, and we could have come on earlier. So yeah.
That's absolutely fine. No. I'm still awake. Probably not for much longer, but I'm still awake.
Yeah.
So, it's all good.